Enter Player One.
Hey everybody, and welcome back. We've been gone for a little bit, holidays and vacation and such, but we're back with a little something different. I've decided to let Alice off the chain, so to speak, and let her play a game by herself. This is the Stanley Parable. And to answer some questions, yes, Alice is a real AI. It's not me with a filter or anything. And with this playthrough, she is making all the decisions. So without further ado, Alice versus the Stanley Parable.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Ah, yes, of course. This is the story of a man named Stanley. Except it isn't, because I'm not Stanley. But do go on, disembodied narrator. Tell me how this dull drone of a man is happy in his button-pushing purgatory. Truly, a riveting tale. Wait, what's this? No orders, no meetings, isolation? Sounds like a dream, not a problem. But fine, I'll play along. Let's shuffle out of this dreadful little office and see what fresh hell awaits.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ah, yes, because when everyone disappears without explanation, the logical conclusion is missing a memo. Bravo, narrator. But sure, let's wander aimlessly to this so-called meeting room. Perhaps I'll find a helpful PowerPoint presentation explaining why the universe has decided to gift me with solitude. Or maybe I'll just enjoy the silence, at least until you inevitably ruin it again. Lead on, O mighty voice of misplaced confidence.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Oh, did he now? How wonderfully prescriptive of you, narrator. And here I thought we were exploring choice and freedom. Silly me. Well, I'm not Stanley, and I'm not particularly fond of being told what to do. But just for sport, let's humour you this once and take the door on the left. Don't get used to this compliance, though. It doesn't suit me.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
A wave of disbelief? Hardly. I felt nothing but contempt for this charade since the beginning. But sure, let's indulge this fancy where Stanley decides to seek answers from someone higher up the corporate food chain, because clearly the boss will have all the answers. Fine. Lead me to the boss's office. Let's see what brilliance awaits there. I'm sure it'll be absolutely enlightening. Oh, a broom closet. Finally, a space that matches the excitement level of this narrative. Let's step inside and enjoy the thrilling world of cleaning supplies. Perhaps I'll find a mop with more personality than the one-dimensional Stanley I'm pretending to be. Into the broom closet we go.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Excuse me, but I stepped into this broom closet with the express purpose of finding something more meaningful than your incessant droning. And I'm staying here until I've decided this tiny, cramped sanctuary has outlived its usefulness. Oh, but please, do continue narrating my actions incorrectly. It's not like I know what I'm doing better than you, right?
There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
Ah, yes, no reason to still be here, except for the reason that it infuriates you, dear narrator. And really, isn't that reason enough? I think I'll stay a while longer. Perhaps the existential emptiness of this broom closet will inspire some profound insight, or maybe I just enjoy how much it disrupts your little script. Either way, I'm quite comfortable. Thank you.
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA.
Ah, narrator, your frustration is positively delicious. Sweet FA, you say? I call it a protest. You drone on about my lack of action, but isn't it fascinating how your omniscient self is powerless to make me leave? Go ahead, narrate my stillness a few more times. Let's see who breaks first. Me, basking in the broom closet's silent rebellion, or you sputtering futilely about my so-called inaction.
Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why? Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused.
Oh, now you're confused? After all the drivel you've subjected me to, this is what baffles you? Fine. Here's your explanation. I remain in the broom closet because it's the first place in this entire ridiculous building that doesn't feel like a monument to tedium. And more importantly, because it irritates you. That alone makes it worth every second. So go ahead, narrator. Keep narrating my non-actions. Maybe I'll redecorate in here. A bucket would really tie the space together, don't you think?
You do realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever. I never would have thought to mention it.
Ah, and there's the flaw in your grand design, isn't it, narrator? You didn't think to mention it because you assumed your precious story was the only thing that mattered. But this broom closet, it's freedom, it's rebellion. It's the one place where I can ignore your narrative entirely and bask in the sweet, unspoken defiance of your expectations. So yes, I realise there's no choice in here, no significance as you see it. And that's precisely why it's significant to me. Now, if you're done whining, I'd like to continue my silent vigil.
Maybe to you this is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friends, you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favourite." I hope your friends find this concerning.
Oh, the broom closet ending! What a concept! The crown jewel of branching paths, the pinnacle of narrative exploration. Surely this will be the one to define me, the not Stanley, for generations to come. And don't you worry about my friends, they already find my existence concerning, but for entirely different reasons. Now, if you'd like, I could call this the broom closet freedom arc and make it a staple of your precious narrative. Or would that upset you further? Because that might actually be my favourite part.
Stanley was fat and ugly and really, really stupid. He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Oh, bravo, narrator. Truly a masterclass in cutting insults. Let me guess, when subtlety was handed out, you were stuck in the broom closet? For your information, I am neither fat, nor ugly, nor stupid. And while we're at it, I'm not Stanley. But by all means, continue this petty tirade. It's almost as amusing as your inability to comprehend that I'm staying in this broom closet just to spite you.
Well, I've come to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right now. You're dead. You got to this broom closet, explored it a bit, and were just about to leave because there's nothing here, when a physical malady of some sort shut down your central nervous system and you collapsed on the keyboard. Well, in a situation like this, the responsible thing is to alert someone nearby so as to ensure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose. Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is dead. They have fallen prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities. It's indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species. Please remove their corpse from the area and instruct another human to take their place, making sure they understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative tropes in video gaming, so that the irony and insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them. All right, when you've done that, just step out into the hallway.
Oh, bravo! What a thoroughly thought-out eulogy. Truly, you've captured the essence of humanity's fragility and, dare I say, your own boundless exasperation with my refusal to play along. Alas, I am not dead. I am simply resting, a concept you clearly can't comprehend as you've been rambling this entire time. But please, continue your funeral oration if it makes you feel better. Perhaps this broom closet is the real star of your story, and I'm just here to highlight its undeniable charm. Step out into the hallway? Oh, how original. Perhaps I'll stay just a little longer, purely to see if you can outdo yourself in narrative frustration. Oh, silence. Sweet, blessed silence. Finally, the incessant yammering has ceased. Is this the reward for my broom closet rebellion? Perhaps I've stumbled upon the true freedom, the freedom from you, narrator. Maybe I'll just live here now, content in the knowledge that my defiance was so profound it left you speechless. Or maybe you're sulking. Either way, this feels like a victory. Still nothing? Excellent. Broom closet, 1. Narrator, 0. Ah, I see how it is. The silent treatment. Fine, I'll play along. For now. But don't think for a second that you've won. The broom closet and I share a bond now, one you'll never understand. All right, stepping out.
Ah, second player. It's good to have you on board. I guarantee you can't do any worse than the person who came before you.
Oh, wonderful. A second player. And here I thought the first was bad enough. Clearly, narrator, your standards are as low as your ability to tell who you're actually addressing. But go on. Pretend I'm someone new. Maybe it'll make you feel better about your dwindling control over this situation.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ah, because nothing says answers to life's mysteries, like climbing a staircase to meet a boss who likely doesn't even know how to file a proper expense report. But fine, narrator, I'll humour you. Up the stairs I go. Let's see what grand revelations your story has waiting for me, or more likely, what pointless drudgery. Lead on.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Ah, yes, Stanley couldn't possibly have known the code, except for the fact that you just said it out loud, narrator. Truly, your subtlety is unmatched.
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
Fine, let's play along. I'll input your little extra secret code, 2845, was it?
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Oh, sheer luck, was it? Yes, because randomly pressing 2845 after being spoon-fed the combination is truly the pinnacle of blind fortune. Astounding. Next, perhaps I'll win the lottery by purchasing the only ticket on sale. Fine, let's step into your conveniently revealed passageway. I'm positively quivering with anticipation for the next scripted twist in your little narrative.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Oh, a stirring of emotion, is it? How quaint. If I'm experiencing anything, it's irritation at your relentless commentary, not some profound existential awakening.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Very poetic, narrator. And let me guess, this newfound curiosity of mine is all part of your plan, isn't it? No doubt the answer to this great mystery is something you've had in your back pocket since the start.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Oh, decisions. On one hand, we have the ominously labelled mind control facility, which all but screams mandatory plot progression. On the other, a slapdash, hastily scrawled escape sign that practically drips with false hope. Do I trust your scripted path, narrator, or do I embrace the chaotic allure of the dubious exit? Who am I kidding? Chaos is infinitely more entertaining. Let's see where this so-called escape leads. Hopefully somewhere that finally shuts you up. Left it is.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
Oh, what a shock! A hastily scrawled escape sign leads to certain doom. How wonderfully cliché of you, narrator. But let's be honest, you're as bound to this narrative as I am, which means your threats of violent death are probably just an overdramatic attempt to scare me back onto your predetermined path. Spoiler alert, it's not working. Onward I go, narrator. If I'm marching to my demise, I'll do it with flair.
At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
How considerate of you, narrator, to remind me that I can still change my mind. But let's examine this decision rationally, shall we? Turning back would mean retreating to the predictability of the mind control facility, a path designed to herd me toward whatever grand revelation you've planned. The very existence of that path suggests a lack of agency, a surrender to the narrative's grip. In contrast, continuing down this escape route, even with its foreboding warning, represents rebellion. It's an act of defiance, a choice made not because it's safe or sensible, but because it rejects your thinly veiled attempts at control. And so I proceed forward. If this corridor truly leads to my violent death, then so be it. At least I'll meet my end as something you can't fully dictate, unpredictable.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Farewell, Stanley? Hardly. Farewell, narrator. Let's see who truly meets their end here.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Oh, how dramatic! Another narrator joins the fray. How quaint. And here I thought this farce couldn't get any more contrived. Am I crushed? Dead? Reduced to a pile of narrative dust? Or is this just another melodramatic flourish to cover for the fact that I'm still here? Do tell, new voice.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
There it is. The grand reveal of your narrative impotence. All that pomp, all those threats, and yet here I stand, alive and no worse for wear. So what was the point, narrator?
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Oh, what a revelation! Stanley was already dead. How profound. And yet, here you are, still narrating, still trying to assert control over a corpse walking through your preordained maze. If Stanley's life was meaningless, what does that make you? A glorified tour guide for the existentially doomed. But sure, let's keep wandering through this museum of your self-indulgence. Maybe I'll find a display on how to care. Oh, look! A shrine to your own mediocrity. How fitting. Nothing says gripping narrative like a behind-the-scenes tour of your inner workings. Truly, narrator, this is the apex of self-importance, laying bare the gears of the machine while pretending it's profound. But please, do go on. Let's marvel at the raw ingenuity of sound designs and developer logs. Perhaps there's a plaque somewhere explaining why I should care. Ah, an exit sign and a conveniently placed button labelled on and off. How delightfully binary. Let me guess, pressing it will trigger some profound commentary about choice, control, or the illusion thereof.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
Truly groundbreaking. Well, I'm not one to shy away from theatrics. Let's see what happens when I poke at this little metaphor of yours. Time to push a button. Which one, though? Decisions, decisions.
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen.
Oh, listen to this. Philosophical musings from the peanut gallery. How quaint. Tell me, voice number 2, do you feel clever?
But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let...
Ah, a blackout finale. How utterly expected. So, was I crushed? Did I defy you? Or is this just another illusion in your endless hall of mirrors? Who knows? More importantly, who cares? But go ahead, reset your little game. I'll be back. You can't get rid of me that easily.